All right. Good evening, everyone. This is our late night call. We are at call 6 today in our Success Without Struggle Mastermind, and we are going to start with some love seats. So Pat asked for one, and Jill asked for one. So we're going to start with Pat, and then we'll move into Jill, and then if nobody has any questions or anything that the individualized coaching has raised, then we will jump into the power of imagination. So, Miss Pat, take it away, darling.
I thank everyone so much for their immediate prompt attention to my craziness. When you gave me the healings, I immediately start to feel better, and I could feel the cords falling away. It says, oh, okay, now I can breathe, now I can think. And someone made the comment in Vox that maybe there was some other energy in my space. And I thought, oh, right. You know, it's like my memory and my self-control started to come back, you know. The biggest thing that happened, okay. I was able to make a separation between my ego energy and my divine soul self energy. And there are a lot of thoughts that led between being weird on Vox and to here now. And it was like there was a moment I could physically see the separation between that. And so I understand more what the ego can do with your thoughts and what the divine self is to your thoughts.
Yep.
And so, I said, okay. And I immediately began to feel more relaxed. And what I realized was happening was I was feeling bad about myself for not having done all this other stuff and feeling confused really bad, and I could not get out of it. I could watch it spinning, but I couldn't get out of it. But when I made that separation between ego and the divine self, I was able to do that. So now I feel much better. It's like, okay, wherever I am is okay. Things are going to get done. It's okay.
Yes.
The other thing is to ask for help. Really big for me. And then to know, even if I need help, there's somewhere to go. It's been rare, and it's been somewhere for me to go that I could get some help that didn't sound crazy.
Hey, we get your brand of crazy here. It's all good.
One of the things that popped up as I was kind of thinking through like why I couldn't get off this crazy wheel was an image came to me of growing up mid-teenage years. My parents used to fight, literally knock down, drag out kind of things. And after one of these situations, I just started weeping. And I couldn't stop. And none of my other siblings were weeping. And so my mother laid me down in the bed and just kind of sat there with me. We weren't the best of friends, so it wasn't like hugging, everything is going to be all right. And I said, okay, I've seen this picture many times. I've worked through this many times. Why is this coming up now? And it was about being in control, wanting to stop the emotion. I remember as I was weeping, all I wanted to do was stop crying and get back in control. I wasn't concerned about whether people were alive or dead. I wasn't concerned about whatever else is going on. I just needed to be in control. And I shut everything else out. So I'm still working with that to see how that directly relates to what just happened these last couple of weeks, but there.
So what do you want coaching on?
You know, I know you asked me that question, and I'm not sure because I feel better now, and this separation between ego self and divine self is huge for me. So now I can think through the next step I need to do, and I'm okay. So I don't feel blocked anymore at this moment. And I need to know that it's just going to happen sometimes, because sometimes I'm going through something. I'll get an opening. I'll say, I'm okay now. I will never, ever go through that again. I need to stop that conversation and let whatever is the outgrowth of the next thing be okay.
And I also think too that, I mean, control is such a big thing with you, but and it is with most everybody too. We all want to be in control of what we're creating and our own current circumstances as well. And so we become control freaks, but we try to control the things that are absolutely outside of our control, like timeline or other people or things like that. And so it feels like there's some underlying trust as well, because if there was a lot of contention with it with authority figures in your home growing up, it's like, well, gosh, who can I trust to take care of me when they're at each other? And there's not a whole lot of stability. So it feels like there's this, well, it's all up to me kind of a thing. And many times we project our relationship with our earthly parents onto our relationship with the divine. And so we figure that God is going to be just like our earthly father or our earthly parents are, which isn't the case at all. I had to come through my own, unfolding with all of that as well, and process through that as well. But hopefully with the different techniques that you're learning, you're gonna get really clear on what is your part, and then letting go of that control and letting God and the universe do their part to bring it back to you. Which is why I said, you just got to go to Paris today. You got to go to Paris for 10 minutes in your mind, because the hows will get a chokehold on you, and they'll get a chokehold on everyone when you allow it to, because it's the first thing that our subconscious will go to keep you right where you are. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. What a wonderful dream. All right, how are you going to do it? I don't know how I'm going to do it. How are you going to pay for it? I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. Like all of that, and then we're done before we even start. And
Right.
so just going to that end result, and Pat didn't report back on that to the group, but she did to me. But Pat, will you take just a minute and let everybody know, like, what happened when you went to Paris for those 10 minutes yesterday?
Oh, it was amazing. First I turned on I went to YouTube and turned on some French music stations and I listened to it. I said, oh yeah, I remember, I forgot, I love listening to that. And then I just the memories of me being there just started to rolling through. And I was telling Allison, I was in the red light district, and there was this little tiny odd museum. It's 3 floors, and they had a series of pictures and information about how people felt about sex at the beginning of the century. And it wasn't pornographic, but it was very odd and interesting. And I stayed there for hours. I came out and I was walking on the street, just remembering the warmth and the sounds. And then I have this memory that I consciously keep in the forefront of my brain about being at the Louvre. It was in the evening, sunset going tonight. I was waiting for a tour to start. There were supposed to be a lot of people, but I was the only one that showed up. And so when the tour guide showed up, I said, oh, that's okay. You don't have to take me. He says, no, it's fine. It's going to be your tour. Before that, though, coming into this huge open space in front of the museum, there was this very peaceful feeling, a very slight mist, not enough to get wet. There were a few people milling around, and it was like all the sound kind of meshed into this one low murmur. The lights were low, and it was one of those moments I felt absolutely grounded in Paris, like I was at home. And that's a memory that I can keep right here. It's like right now I'm right there, and I love that.
Uh-huh. And can you guys feel that? Like, she just took us all to Paris with her. Did you feel that? Like, even if we haven't been, Amy, some good imagination. Yeah. And that is the power. That is what's going to get you back to Paris. That's what's going to get you back home, Pat, is continuing to go to Paris in your mind and bringing up those memories, but not just watching yourself, but like seeing yourself in that memory, but not as a third person. So just seeing the tour guide and feeling the mist, and you can't see anything behind you if you're in the middle of the movie. But continue to go there, especially, do you understand that? So doing it, feeling it as a first person, so if you're at that oddity museum, you're reading the things, you're seeing the things that are in the cases, you're walking around, you're seeing it as, you've got the camera, and you're holding that camera and seeing it from first person. But that's what's going to take you to Paris. Literally, that, like, the power of your imagination is just absolutely staggering. And we're going to talk about that some more tonight. But when the hows get you, and they will, they're just waiting right there off to the side to just when we get really caught up with current circumstances and our current reality, and that's where you just take a breath. I'm going to take 5 minutes to go to, I'm going to go to Paris, or I'm going to put on some Parisian music or some French music, and I'm just going to go there for just a couple of minutes, and just allow yourself to go there and to feel it once again, like, oh, gotta go home. This, boom, puts me home, and that will get you there. I promise, it'll get you there. So, oh, thank you for sharing that. She boxed that to me this morning. I was like, oh, she just took me to Paris. She needs to take the rest of us to Paris too, and herself as well. So thank you. And yeah, please don't wait for weeks before reaching out for help again, because there are some techniques that we can get you. So your ego will put you into suffering instantly. And the divine is what puts you into that beautiful state. And so we've got to get you into that beautiful state. So when you find yourself doing that spiral down again, that's what the box is for, is so that we can help lift you up and support you and love you. And this is an amazing group of women who have so much love and so much support for each other. It's just absolutely mind-blowing and heart-opening and all of that. So, you know, bring on your crazy, hon. We can totally take it. And we can get you back into that beautiful state. Absolutely. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Miss Jill.
Hello.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I was muted, so I wanted to make sure I got it right. So there was actually something I wanted to ask you first so that I didn't forget before my question. I was wondering if possibly you could do kind of a recap from each week, maybe just a little blurb, maybe a paragraph, just kind of about some points that you hit during each of the videos, so that, because like some people were saying, oh, what week were you talking about meditation, or are you talking about this? It would be really nice to have something like that so that we can go back and maybe not have to listen to the whole thing. And I mean, I do take notes, so I have that, but it's nice to be able to say, oh yeah, it was that week that she talked about that, and not have to go back through the whole thing, or maybe go there. And sometimes I will make notes and say, you know, minute 40, 51, this was said. So I'll do that. But is that something you think you could do?
So I thought about doing a recap. I think and we can talk about, last week we talked about such and such. We had our big money call the week before, and what money is, what money isn't. What I try to do when I render the calls and stick them up there are touch points of what we talked about.
Right. Yeah.
In there to help jog people's memory. But yeah, we can do, I'm happy to do brief little recaps, maybe for 60 seconds or less, just because there's so much to cover in the calls that I don't want to spend half of it recapping what we did on the last call. So, but yeah, I will make a note and hopefully remind myself of that. So do a box, just remind me on box, recap, Alice, and I'll be like, oh, that's right, we're recapping.
Okay. And then my question might be answered in tonight's call, because it was about imagination, and as I'm doing kind of my dailies, on the visualization, I'm kind of closing my eyes and taking myself through it, but I'm finding all I see a lot is kind of black, and I have some slight images of things, but I'm really finding myself struggling to really kind of bring the emotion to it and to really feel it. Because I feel like I'm so versed at the negative and the opposite, and like, here it is again, it's showing up. And so I've really been struggling in my visualization, to really kind of feel it and to get into that. And so I just was kind of wondering some suggestions and things that I could do to kind of better bring that in. I love what Pat said about the music, so that might be another way. But for my goal, it's not a destination like a place like Paris. And so I'm wondering how I can better kind of imagine that and visualize that.
Tell me what your goal is again. So
it's to be partner in the financial company that I work for.
Why is that important?
So partner is kind of like the level that everybody wants to get to. And I want to be a partner. For one, like I love the social aspect of it. And I really want to be in those kind of meetings and contribute and feel like I'm a part of that. And then on the way, I get to help people change their lives, you know, and learn about finances and set themselves up for success. For
Okay, yeah,
retirement.
but you do that already. You do that already. And so have you sat in on a partner meeting before? Are you allowed to go in and observe a partner meeting? Not until you're a partner.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to another partner and ask them what they talk about during their meetings and what is a day in the life of Jill McDonald when she is a partner. What are you
Okay.
doing? How are you spending your money? How are you investing your money? Where are you going to dinner? Where are you going to lunch? What kind of clothes are you wearing? So what we need to do is get a clearer picture of a day in the life of the McDonalds who are a partner in their company. And so, because yeah, you've got to have a visual that your mind can hold on to, which is why we wanted to be really specific in what it is that you're wanting to create, so that so that we can use this, like the greatest power God has given us is the power of our imagination. But like you said, we use it for negative. We can visualize. We can visualize disasters so clearly, and we can pump emotion into that so easily. But with those things that we want, we trip ourselves up. And so I just want you to imagine, like, what's the dollar amount that making partner is going to be on a monthly basis, not a yearly. We want to chunk it down to a month. So what is that monthly dollar amount going to look like? And how do you give that money purpose? Where is that money going? What is the job that money is doing? And how does that feel?
Okay.
Now you can pull back on, like, you've had large sums of money before. And so you know the feeling that brings, you know, the relief, you know, the excitement, you know, the gratitude that brings. So tap into that as you are like visualizing, looking at your account, and oh my word, and you know what that money means. It means you not only have you blessed your life, but you have blessed X amount of other people's lives. So there's this wonderful ripple effect that's been going out. But how is it specifically blessing your life? How is partner specifically blessing your life? And I would, do you know any partners? Can you talk to any partners?
Yeah, I work very closely with a partner, well, a couple that's a partner. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I would ask them, like, what are some of the things that you guys banter about in your partner meetings? What are you talking about? Because I'm trying to, you know, like, I don't need specifics if it's all like, you know, hush hush and confidential. I don't want any of that, but I do want to know, like, how does it feel and what does it look like in there? Because that's what I want, and they know that's what you want. You've told them that that's what your goal is, and so this will give you one more piece that you can add to your visualization and add to your imagination. So I would ask them what that part looks like, so that you can then weave that into, like, oh, we got partner meeting tonight, or oh, we just finished the partner meeting, and oh, this is what we talked about, and holy cow, to be with this caliber of people and know I belong here. Wow, and the person that I have become to sit in this chair and to be around this table and to be discussing the things that we're discussing. Holy cow, like 6 months ago, I wouldn't have even believed it, but that's because I was a different woman 6 months ago, and that woman couldn't be here, but this woman can, because look at what I grew into. And oh my word, all of the blessings, and I feel so grateful and so humbled and yet so excited as well. Like, oh man, I love how it feels to be wealthy. I love that feeling. I love the feeling of generosity. I love the feeling that I can go grab something without even having to look at the price tag. I love the wonderful celebration dinner that we had at Ruth's Chris, and this is what I ordered, and paying cash and cash flowing. Like, go there. Go there. Can you see that? Can you feel that?
Yeah, I like that. I think one thing I've been kind of struggling with is some of the more intricacies of what it looks like for me to get there. Like tonight, for instance, we had, you know, a meeting.
That's the how. Yeah. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't let your imagination is not about using the how.
Okay.
Don't that's tripping you up, and that's causing some angst.
Yeah, it's like what I was gonna say is tonight we were talking about annuities, and I was just like, I just was like, wah, 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 boring. So I am struggling with that sense of it, where I'm like,
Well, okay, so we're not going to put annuities in your visualization, okay? We're not going to be imagining annuities with that. But you can imagine me like, dang, I got those annuities down. Like, I understand
okay,
now how to weave them in, but you don't have to go into and this is what I did to understand annuities and to love annuities and to not be bored by annuities, right? Like, now we've got all of that behind us now, and I can keep up with the conversation, and the conversation is really interesting to me. I remember the first part of my business hating talking about marketing, hating it. Oh my gosh, because marketing is such a difficult piece of business, and it's such an integral piece of business. And I was like, they were saying all of these terms they were bandying about, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But now that I've immersed myself in it, and I've been in the industry long enough, that it's like, I really enjoy marketing conversations. Like, what are you doing and what's working for you? And like, you grow into it. You do. You'll grow into it.
yeah.
Just don't give up on it, and you'll grow into it. But skip to the end. Skip to the end where that's all taken care of in your imaginings.
Okay.
All right?
My type one likes the end.
Exactly.
I want the fun part.
Yeah, right? Right? We all do. Uh-huh. Awesome. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I think one thing I've kind of some more energy about that's been coming up for me a lot is, and I won't go into any details, of course, but, just I was, I say this, I've been what's coming up a lot is some abuse that happened to me when I was younger, and really kind of sitting in that situation. And last year I had called my brother and talked to him about some specifics, and I find out when I learn more, I actually do worse mentally, and I struggle for weeks after that. And so just kind of, I don't know, I feel like that one I've really identified with that story, and I just feel really stuck in that one. So
you get to give the story a new meaning, and you get to Hapona Ono it instead of diving into the details of it, because the details make you spin, and the more you know, the worse you feel, because it drags you back into the story. And so Hapona Ono is 4 sentences. Thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, in any order that you want. And just send that. It's actually a Hawaiian prayer. So send that Hapona Ono to the whole situation. Send it
okay,
to that young child of you, of going through that. Send it to everybody who was involved in the situation. But I love you, thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Like, in any order, it doesn't matter. But just those 4 sentences, when you're swinging to one side and you're in a suffering state, that actually does, it turns things around really, really quickly, and will put you back into a beautiful state and get you into the creation state that you want to be in, rather than creating from that suffering state. Yeah, because you already know what that situation did to bless you. Like, you've already picked that out, and the woman that you become because of that whole situation. And so that gets to be your story, but there's a part of you that's wanting to grab onto the victim part of it as well. And so it's wanting to put you back into suffering. So I would just Hapona Ono it until you feel calm and until you feel better about it. And it won't take very long. It'll only take a few minutes, really.
Okay.
And
that's the biggest story that it keeps coming up for me. And I feel okay with the people involved. Like, I talk to them, they're family, and I'm okay. I get that part, and I have a lot of compassion for them and where they were at and what led them to that place. And so I'm okay there. But man, I just feel like it's been like my identity, my story, and poor me, and talking about it with people and getting the, oh wow, you're a survivor and you've gone through so much. And I just, the other day, I literally in my mind, the words came to me, I am ready to give that up. I'm
Awesome.
ready to let that go. And I was surprised. So
Right.
I wasn't like seeking that or anything. It just came to me and I heard it in my mind. Jill, are you ready to let that go? And I was like, yes, I'm ready to let that go. So I feel like I'm close, and I'm subconsciously even, I feel like I've made kind of a couple steps, but I still, there's a little bit that I felt like needed a little bit of tweaking and some kind of stuck energy with that.
Yep. To ho'oponopono it. That'll take care of it.
Cool.
Awesome. Ed, report back. Let me know how it goes. Let us all know how it goes.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, my friends. And I want to say, Syra, it's so good to see you. Marilee, we can't see you, but we're so happy that you're here. So I'm just thrilled, and I want to see if I've missed anybody. Nope, everybody else is here. And those of you who are catching the replay, we love you just as much. But it's so fun to have people on here, and I know that it's late, so thank you for being here. All right, so we're talking about imagination today and the power of your imagination. So when I last year, when we did our big manifesting experiment, oh, hang on, can you guys still hear me? It says my connection is unstable. Okay, there we go, it righted itself. So I was documenting what we did with the family experiment that changed everything. And when all was said and done, I had broken it down into 5 steps of what we did. So the first thing we did is that we got crystal clear. We got crystal clear on what it was that we wanted so that we could picture it. We could literally picture it. And so one thing that's really helpful is a day in the life of me after I have received this goal, after I've achieved whatever it is on your goal card. If you can picture that, you're spot on. If you can't picture it, then we need to tweak it a little bit more so that you can. That is imperative. It's got to be a clear picture in your mind. The second step was to ignore current circumstances and to ignore the hows. Every time the hows came up to bite me in the butt, I would say, I don't know how we're going to do it, and I don't care how we're going to do it. I just know that we are. And it wasn't, I believe I can do it. All right, remember the distinction between I believe and I have decided? Like, I just knew we were. I didn't believe it, I just knew we would. And I didn't know how, and I didn't care how, because I was so tired of the hows stopping me. All right, the current circumstances we were in were scary, and they were so heavy. So I still had to live in my current reality, but I had to pull back any emotion from it and just, you know what, this is what it is. Here's what's going on. We had creditors that were calling, and rather than getting all wrapped up in, they're going to judge me, and oh, here's the story behind it. Like, I didn't go into story with anybody. I was just like, yeah, we don't have the money. So I'm really sorry. We're working on it, but I don't know when I can pay you. And that's just what it was. And, you know, and they were, everybody without exception was so kind and was just, wow, we're sorry that you're in this hardship right now. And let's see if we can come up with a payment plan and blah, 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 blah. So like, nobody was judging me, but it was because I wasn't going into any sort of story. I was just like, well, here's what it is. And I took all the emotion out of it. And instead I pumped emotion into what it was I wanted. And I pumped my vision and my imagination into what it was I wanted to create. Step number 3, I teamed up with the forces that determine your destiny. So I worked with the power of directed faith. I worked with, now remember what faith is. Faith is truth spoken in advance. So I started using that power and just continuing to declare it and letting go of the stuff that was not mine to do. Like, the hows weren't mine. It became very clear that the house would be delivered to me. And then I just needed to follow the nudges. And so that's what I started working on. I started working on, all right, how do I receive inspiration? How does God talk to me? How does it sound in my mind? How does it feel in my body? And that requires to being present. You got to be present in the moment. Now, that doesn't mean you're sucked up in the moment, all right, but you got to be present in your body and just like, all right, I got to take care of what's going on right now, but oh, I'm going to picture what it is I want. I'm going to go to Paris. In my case, it was Hawaii. I'm going to go to Hawaii all the time in my mind with music and with pictures and with we've been to Hawaii before too, so I could picture the ocean, I could picture the beach. And so I put me and my family there all the time. Step number 4 was I obsessed about it. And I didn't obsess about the hows. I went right to the end result, exactly what it was I wanted, a day in the life of. I pictured my family being like, oh, Mom, thanks so much for taking us here. Thanks so much for bringing us to Hawaii. This was an awesome Christmas present. Holy cow, this is so wonderful. So I pictured that. I pictured my kids thanking me. I pictured kissing Jeremy at sunset. I pictured all of those things and got obsessive about that. What we obsess about are the hows. Don't allow yourself to obsess about the hows. Obsess about the end result. And then step number 5 is you've got to create the space for intuitive nudges. And so I would relax. I would quiet my mind just for a few minutes every day. And that would create that space for direction to come in. And it was just receiving and releasing and receiving and releasing. So it was that meditation. So interestingly enough is that the power of your imagination incorporates all 5 of those steps. And that's how brilliant and genius and miraculous your imaginative powers really are. There was a man who was highly, highly successful. And this was back in the early 1900s. And he was talking to Joseph Murphy. And he told Murphy that it's just as easy to imagine yourself as successful as it is to imagine yourself as a failure. And it's far more interesting to imagine yourself as successful. And I love that. That filled me with like, oh yeah, I can do that, huh? Because I don't know about you, but I would just imagine disaster all the time. I would ask my mentors, okay, now what if that doesn't work? And then what do I do? And what if they shut me down? And then it's like I was always going to the failure piece instead of imagining myself as successful. And it's so much more interesting and so much more fun to imagine yourself successful. And so be aware of where your mind is trying to take you. Is it trying to take you into failure? And are you disciplining it and directing it towards success? It's so much more interesting. I mean, my goodness, Pat, you went into, like, you got a whole lot of clarity now on ego self versus divine self, but it's a whole lot more interesting to be guided by your divine self, because your ego self in that suffering state just keeps rehashing the same things again and again and again. It's like this old worn out tape, and it gets so boring, but we get sucked back into it. Oh, here I am again in fear. Oh, here I am again in the what ifs. Oh, here I am again thinking that I'm all alone and completely abandoned. I have no idea how to do this, and I don't have a skill set. Like those thoughts are the same thoughts we've thought for the last 30 years. Like it's so boring. But when we are led by our divine selves, now we get sparks of imagination, we get sparks of inspiration, we get flashes of ideas that light us up inside. And that is so much more interesting to follow. So literally, your imagination is your secret weapon, but we've got to learn how to direct it and control it and discipline it, because we all have an imagination, but it runs wild. So it's time to train it. When you use your imagination correctly, you can literally collapse time or expand time at your will. And you can overcome every single limitation when you harness the power of your imagination. So one of the things that is really necessary to do this is to keep your imagination busy with very noble thoughts, God-infused thoughts. One of the most powerful sentences with that affirmation I gave you for me is that my faith in God is my fortune, and the power of God is with my thoughts of good. Because we're told all through sacred writing that God is not a God of fear. And so if I am in fear, then I know right then I'm not connected to my source. I'm not connected to my higher power, and I'm letting imagination run wild. And so what we get to do is keep our imagination busy with noble, godlike concepts and ideas, those things that just light a spark in us. So We get to be in control of that imagination instead of it controlling us. Now, we're going to have opposition. It's part of this whole earth experience, where it's part of experiencing contrast, is we're going to have some opposition. And so what you're going to do with that when opposition comes, or, you know, the fact of the matter or the reality is, like, those statements are so funny because we create our reality. If our dream is big, the facts don't matter. It doesn't make any sort of a difference. If we are determined in our commitment to our decision, and we just continue to commit to our decision, the facts change. The facts change to support our decision. It's the coolest thing ever. And I don't know exactly how it happens. Well, I do. It's because you're harnessing universal powers, and the universe is literally set up to support you. It's mathematically set up to support you in every moment of your life. And so when we just commit to the decision rather than committing to the hows, then we start activating divine laws. We start activating the power of coincidence. We start activating universal laws that will now work in our favor, and they'll come in very natural ways. But then we start directing it towards us instead of pushing it away from us. It's the coolest thing ever. It really is, because then it becomes really easy and really fun to create. Yeah, Amy says, that's what I love. When I'm engrossed in spiritual things, I truly feel lit up. Well, yeah, it's because it's your spirit. It's your spirit connecting with spirit and connecting with truth. And now you're aligned with who you truly are. And that is so completely energizing when you're doing that. All right. So when opposition is staring you in the face, when you feel like you're getting sucker punched by current reality, what is necessary for you to do is detach your attention from the evidence of the senses. All right, so you see what's going on, like your five senses are telling you how everything is falling apart, and maybe things aren't falling apart, but they're just telling you how impossible it is to actually get your goal. You've got to detach from that. Pull your attention away from that, and pull your attention away from the appearance of things, and start thinking more and more clearly and with more interest about what your goal is or what your objective is. All right, so just turn right back to that goal card. That's why I want you looking at it all the time. In fact, I have a mastermind that I just started, and I was like, I want you looking at your goal all the time. And so what they've actually done is they've taken a ton of index cards, and they put their goal on like 10 cards, and they put it all over their house. So one of them has it right by their faucet because they drink a lot of water. One of them has it in their bathroom. They have it on their mirror. They have it on their fridge. Like, it's all around them, and then they have it on their pocket. And they're just like you. They keep losing them. It's just like me. I can't tell you how many goal cards I've had to rewrite because it keeps falling out of my pocket. One of them was like, oh, I put it in my bra, and then I forgot that it was in my bra. So like, they're just really fun. But if you found that you're not really thinking about your goal and it's not in front of your eyes during the day, set your environment, your physical environment, up to support you. And so just make a bunch of them and put them all around. Put them one by your nightstand, put one on the dashboard of your car, just so that you can be reminded of, oh yeah, this is what I'm working toward. Oh yeah, oh, what does it feel like? Oh, just take a breath. Oh yeah, a day in the life of Shamara. Welcome, Shamara. A day in the life of Shamara after I've gotten this. Oh, what does it look like? How does it feel? Oh, and you'll do it for 42 seconds, and that's enough. But we've got to connect from what the appearance says and what the evidence is stacking up against us, because too many people try to work with their current reality to create a new reality, and you can't do that. You can't create a new reality with the tools that you have today. It's not possible. You've got to use different tools to create a different reality, or you've got to use tools in a different way to create the reality that you really want. And we do that by the power of our imagination and actually using it for us instead of against us. All right, so you've got to constantly imagine the reality that you're wanting. This is literally how you compel it into being. our subconscious is compulsive in nature. So what that means is when we have an image that we can see and we pump it full of emotion, that's the only way that the subconscious can respond. It responds in images and it responds to emotions. And because it's compulsive, you will then be compelled. Like you can't help yourself because you're moving in that direction. So case in point, I made a decision that I was 125 pounds. I eat clean, my body is toned all over, and I have a flat belly. And ladies, I was 164 pounds when I started saying that. And this was about 6 weeks ago. And I was like, I don't really want to eat clean. I love my sugar. Oh my goodness, I love my sugar. And I'm not a huge bread eater, but I love fruit and I love carbs. And I was like, but you know what? I'm 125 pounds and I eat clean. And I just decided that that's what I was going to do. And the woman who taught me this mantra was like, say this mantra over and over again and just picture it and then step back and watch what happens in your life. People will be led to you. Like they'll just come to you and suddenly you'll just have a conversation with them, or you'll find something that will just come across your feed. Like it's almost bizarre the way it happens if you don't understand what's going on. But what you're doing literally is you're connecting to that frequency. So I put myself on that frequency of clean eating and of being 125 pounds and toned all over and a flat belly. And without it being my reality yet in my own body, but it was real in my mind. And boom, within a week I had a health coach. And boom, within a couple of days, I was like, no, I don't think I want that chocolate. I'm good. I'm good. I actually don't want it. That's really interesting. So it's so cool the way that it actually works. And so your subconscious is compelled for you to take those steps that will lead you to what you're visualizing. That's why it's so important that you stop visualizing disaster, or that you stop saying, oh, I don't want this to happen, I don't want this to happen, I don't want this to happen, because you're pumping it with a ton of emotion and you've got a really clear picture in your mind. Why did we go to financial disaster? Because that's what I was trying to avoid for so long. But that's all I pictured was the financial disaster and failure and nobody wanting to work with me and like all of that. That's what I kept picturing and kept saying, I don't want it, I don't want it. But the subconscious and the universe does not recognize words of negation, like I don't want that. It's kind of like when we say, oh, I'm so glad it's not raining. What do you picture? You picture rain. And so we've had rain here for the last week, and it's been so nice for the last 2 days. We've had blue skies. And so I've caught myself saying, I'm so glad it's not, oh wait, no, I'm so happy for blue skies. Oh, yay, thank you for blue skies. And so we want to tweak our language around that as well. All right. Something to really think about is that what you're imagining already exists in the next dimension of your mind. All right, it's already a reality. Like there are so many different realities. We're living this one physically right now, but there are so many different realities. So it's already real. What you want is already real in another dimension. So we're just bringing it to our physical reality. That's all we're doing with that. Be faithful to your idea. No matter what is going on, no matter who is telling you it's impossible or how are you going to do that or trying to rein you into reality. First of all, if you've got anybody doing that, stop telling them your dream. Usually this is with our family members that this happens with the most, is that they want you to get real, or they're like, I don't see how that can happen. I don't see how that can happen. So we just got to be happy with what we've got right now. And I'm like, no, but okay. So we're not going to make anybody wrong here. But stop sharing your dreams with them if they can't get on the same page with you, if they won't play with you. And sometimes people just can't. Sometimes they can't play with you and they can't use their imagination that way. And that's okay. That's just where they're at. But stop trying to make them come into this group and let's play here with your imagination here, because we all get it. And we're all going to be supportive in that. And it's okay. Like your loved ones will come along with you. But when you're trying to pull them along, you're going to get a whole lot of resistance, which actually just puts you in a suffering state. So I felt like I needed to make mention of that in this group. So just stop sharing your dreams if they're trying to be stomped or killed. And it's not that they're bad people. They're just not wanting to see you hurt and not wanting to be disappointed, quite honestly, because they can't see how it will happen. All right? So you're going to experience this in your imagination over and over and over again. And that's what sets you apart from a daydreamer. Oh gosh, who is it? Wallace Wattles calls it castle building, daydreaming and castle building. So the difference between like laying this foundation down and being a daydreamer or a castle builder is that there's no foundation with a daydreamer or a castle builder. They're just like, oh, well, that was nice, but I guess that'll never happen. But that was a nice little escape. What you're doing here is you're literally taking creative energies. You're getting out of competitive energy and you're using creative energy to literally reshape your future and to change your future. And this is how you do it. So you've got your vision, you've got your purpose behind it, which is your why. What do you expect to feel when you get it? And then we're using directed faith and gratitude, the power of gratitude, as we're doing this, which lays a really, really solid foundation over what it is you want. Now, another piece to this is mental ownership. When you're visualizing that, when you're using your imagination, you have got to own it in your mind before it's ever here physically or ever here in your body. You've got to own that in your mind. So it's called mental ownership. And let it be real, because it is real in your mind. And all we're doing is we're changing the form. It's called perpetual transmutation. We're just going to change the form from an idea form or spirit form or ether form into physical form. That's all we're doing. And this is how you do it. It's so fun. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. Let's see. I want to talk about imagination and to just kind of give you a picture of what imagination is. And Joseph Murphy wrote this awesome book in the early 1900s, and he talks about imagination is the workshop of God. And this is what he says about it. Sorry, I should have marked it. He says, imagination is the workshop of God. A workshop is where raw materials are transformed, manufactured, produced into useful objects and instruments. Likewise, our imaginations are workshops where ideas, opinions, and concepts are transformed, manufactured, and produced as conditions, circumstances, and events in our daily lives. As we imagine, so will we become, and so will we accomplish, achieve, and possess, know, and experience. So when you're going into a visualization, you're going into your workshop. I'm going to use my tools. I'm going into my workshop for the next 3 minutes. I'm going into my workshop for the next 45 minutes or the next 32 seconds. Okay, notice it doesn't have to be this set amount of time, but the more often you can touch it throughout the day, the faster it's going to come, because you're literally in that moment, you are literally putting your body in the same frequency of the reality that you want. All right, and that's why this is so important. Albert Einstein said everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the reality of match your frequency with the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. All right, so we're using science, and what most people are trying to do is drag that dream down to where we are on our level. Doesn't work. That's not how we do it. And then people get really, really frustrated that their dream is taking forever, or they're never going to be able to do it. And then they're violating all kinds of universal laws and literally pushing their dream from them, rather than just, all right, I got to match my frequency with the frequency of that reality. And so how am I going to do that? I'm going to imagine that reality. I got to imagine how that's going to feel. So how do I expect to feel when I hit that reality? Because ladies, no matter what it is you want, whatever is on your goal card, you're after a feeling. At the end of the day, you are after a feeling. You want to feel successful. You want to feel supported. You want to feel secure. You want to feel wealthy. You want to feel victorious. Like whatever that is, at the end of the day, you want to feel something. That's what you're after. And so in order to get that, we have to feel it first. We have to feel it before it comes. Same thing with money. Remember how we said in our money call that money doesn't bring peace, but peace brings money. So you've got to have the peace first. You've got to have the security first, and then the money comes. But when we're expecting, well, as soon as the money comes and I'll feel secure, that's not how we actually create. That's not how we go after those feelings. We need a reading list. I know, right, Amy? It's awesome. So get this one. Can you guys even see that? It's called Maximize Your Potential Through the Power of Your Subconscious Mind to Create Wealth and Success by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Excellent book. Excellent book. I love it. There's so much, like almost every page is highlighted in this book because he was masterful at that. All right. So let your idea be real. Your idea is definitely real in your mind, but you've got to believe that you have it now, and that's how you receive it. So in one part of your mind, you have it. Like Pat, you had Paris. You were in Paris. That's how you're going to receive it. Believe that you're there, and then you're going to receive it. So go there in your mind as much as you can. You need to think from the idea of it, not of it. All right, those are two huge distinctions, and we need to make those distinctions. You can't just watch the movie of you, like we talked about in Paris. You can't just watch the movie. You have to put yourself in the movie. Oh, we got lots of background noise. Let's see. I'm just going to mute everybody. Okay, there we go. So think from the idea, not of it. So put yourself into a day in the life of Syra after I've gotten X. And if you're in the movie, then what you can see, if you're looking out in front of you, like what I can see right now are my hands. I can't see the back of my head. I can't see what's behind me unless I turn around. All right, so put yourself into it, a day in the life of, and what are you eating, and what are you wearing, and what's your hair looking like, and what's the activity you're going to do that day. So put yourself in the movie, don't just watch it. Imagine that you're successful. Imagine that you're doing what you love to do. And if you keep that up regularly and systematically, like ladies, if you can do this 5 times a day, it would be so awesome if you would do that. The more often you can do it, the better it will be. Now, I would do this while I was at work. I would do this in the bathroom. I would do this in the shower all the time when I'd first wake up, when I'd go to sleep at night. And it wasn't like, sometimes I would set a timer. Most of the time I would just be like, okay, I want to go to Hawaii now. Okay, I want to go here now, or I want to imagine this now. And so it would just last until it was just like, it felt complete. It felt done. And sometimes I did it for the better part of an afternoon, just because it felt so fun. It felt so good to be there. And that was my whole agenda by that time. I just wanted to feel good. I wanted to feel better. And so that's why I went there, because it felt good. It was like, oh, that was such a wonderful way to spend 30 minutes. Oh, thank you. That was time very, very well spent. And I was still doing other stuff. I wasn't like, life must stop now so that I can imagine. I was working. I was getting stuff done. And I was getting my family to Hawaii without knowing how we were going to do it, but just trusting that something was going to come to make it so. And boy, did it. Boy, did it. It was awesome. All right. Now, another very important part is to not deny what you affirm. Most people do this. The vast, vast majority of people will deny what they affirm. So your affirmation has to agree with your imagination. It has to agree with your image, and your image has to agree with your affirmation. All right. If you affirm one thing and you image another, all right. So for instance, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, and all you see is bankruptcy, bankruptcy, bankruptcy. You are imagining one thing and affirming another. And what that is called is hypocrisy. And you cannot get what you want. You're going to get what you imagine. All right, so don't deny the affirmation. Don't go to the, when's it ever going to come? Nothing has changed yet. Why isn't it here yet? That's denying the affirmation. All right, so do not allow yourself to deny the affirmation. All right, the image has to agree with the affirmation, and the affirmation has to agree with the image. That's how you get results. Is it has to get, and they have to agree with each other. All right. All of your mental attitudes are conditioned by your imagination. All of them. So if you want to change your results, you want to change your life, all you have to do is change your mental attitude. The fastest way to change a mental attitude is to go to gratitude. Fastest way. Fastest way. If you're feeling like you're kind of off with your relationship with God or your higher power, fastest way to fix that and to connect you back with your source is through gratitude. Literally. It can happen within seconds when you start going into gratitude. All right. So we want to do that. Oh, are you guys okay for another 6 minutes? Are we okay to go over just a tiny bit? Okay, awesome. I know it's late. I'll talk faster if you want. I'm going to give you a couple of techniques to do, some relaxation and imagination techniques. The most important part of imagining is relaxing into it. Because if we're really stressed out and we're trying to imagine what it is we want, that is also denying the affirmation. You won't believe it. You won't believe it if you're super stressed out trying to imagine something or trying to visualize. So you've got to relax. If you're going to relax your mind, the first thing to relax is your body. Have you noticed that when you go into a meditation, you're like, and now I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to sink into the chair, and I'm going to relax every part of my body, and I feel my feet relaxing. And sometimes you can take yourself through a whole relaxation process, starting from your toes and working up to different parts of your body and just relaxing everything. I usually just take a deep breath and just let myself kind of melt into my bed, because that's where I like to do my visualizations the most, and my meditations is in my bed. So I'm like, and now I'm relaxed. And that will open up your mind. That opens you up to receive. And that right in and of itself, that relaxation will actually open your mind to receive. And it will help your mind to believe when you've relaxed your body. So make sure that you relax your body. Joseph Murphy talks about a woman who wanted to sell her home, and she had quite an expensive home for the day. So she was a widow, and her home was $500,000. And these days, that doesn't get you a lot of home, but think to yourself, $2 million. All right. That's probably equivalent to the kind of home that she had. And she was like, nobody has that kind of money these days. I really want to sell this home, but who can afford it? And he was like, okay, right there, you're denying the affirmation. Okay. So when you go into, yeah, but this is what I want, but that's denying the affirmation. So stop that. And he said, okay, so this is what you're going to do. In your mind, you're going to go through every room of your house in your mind, and you're going to have an imaginary buyer there with you, and you're showing him all parts of the house, including the garage and the kitchen, and he's saying, oh my word, I love this, I'll buy it, I'll take it, I love this. And he's like, this is all in your imagination, okay? This is completely in your imagination. Everything is pretend, but walk through your whole house that you're selling it to somebody who loves it, who can buy it, who wants to write you a check for it right now, who's got a big smile on his face because this is exactly what he wants. He said, if you can't sell it in your mind, you will never sell it physically. So you got to sell it in your mind first. All right. So this is why I keep telling you, you got to go there in your mind before you can go there in your body. We got to get you to Paris as much as we can. We got to get you to partner as often as we can. We got to get you to whatever that dollar amount is that you're after, or that book written, or whatever that is, that health coaching business, and X amount of clients that you're wanting every month. And this is how much you're charging. Like, we got to go there in your mind as often as possible. Because if you won't go there in your mind, you can't go there in the body. And if you go there in the body, you won't be able to stay there. All right. So I'm not going to say you're never going to get what you want. You will, but you can't hold it. personal experience from that. So let my pain save you a ton of anxiety. Don't do it. Do it the way I'm teaching you now. It's not the way I did it before. But aren't you so glad that I was willing to go through that suck for you guys so you don't have to? All right, I wouldn't say that I was necessarily willing, but God was like, here's your path. I'm like, all right, well, here's my path. So Shamara, you're welcome. So, but go there in your mind as often as you can and relax. Because if you don't relax, you won't believe. It's as simple as that. And these concepts that I'm teaching you are so simple, but they're a double-edged sword, aren't they? Because they're so simple, your 7-year-old, your 4-year-old is brilliant at imagining. Like, oh my gosh, say we're this, say we're that, let's say we're here. Like, children and their imaginations are amazing, and they are that superhero in that moment with the towel and their underwear, and they are absolutely who they say that they are pretending that they are. So take a cue from them, but let it be simple. It is simple, but the other side of the sword of that is that because it's so simple, we say, it can't be that easy. Like, that's all I have to do. Or we say, and your mind will actually do this, that's a great idea, I'm going to do it later. I'm super busy right now, I'll make sure I do that later. And then we never do. Okay, so be aware of that double-edged sword. So what I'm teaching you with the imagination is working with the invisible to bring what you want into the physical. And we're going to back that up with science and your next big assignment for the next month. All right. Before I introduce that, though, I do want to share things that I did to help me get into that imagination place. Not deny the affirmation. So when I first started in my business, it took me 6 months to get a client, you guys. Like, I was so bad. I was so in my head. It was terrible. And I talked to literally hundreds of people before I got my first client. And then 3 days later, I had 5 clients. So it's really interesting when you pop into the right frequency and the right energy that they're there. They're all there. They're just waiting for you to get into the right frequency. So we can get there a whole lot faster than the 6 months it took me through trial and error and a ton of pain to get there. But I would interview myself. So at the time, I was cleaning an office, and it took me about 3 hours to clean the office every week. And so as I was vacuuming, I would interview myself. So I'd be like, all right, let's say it's a year from now, and Allison, you are super successful. So tell us how you did it, Allison. So I'm vacuuming, and I'm like, wow, it was so amazing. And I feel so wonderful. And these are how many clients I have. And this is the program that I'm running. And so I would just interview myself. And as silly as that sounds, like, I would literally talk out loud. Nobody else was there. I was, it was noisy. I was vacuuming. I was washing the mirrors and scrubbing the toilets and all of that, and just interviewing myself about how wonderful life was, and that I didn't have to clean offices anymore, and how the things that we were doing with our kids, and the foods we were eating, and the places we were traveling, and how much I loved my clients and how much they loved me. And so I was just going there. I was going there in my mind so that I could go there in my body. All right, so your next assignment is, oh gosh, where's my book? You don't really need a visual, but you are going to read The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, W-A-T-T-L-E-S. Here it is. Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. Excellent book. You can see it's pretty thin. It's a fast read, but you're going to be very systematic in the way that you read it and what you're going to do with it. Because this book is going to change your life, ladies, especially when you read it the way I'm going to teach you how to read it. So you can get this book off the public domain. So you can actually just do a Google search for The Science of Getting Rich. You can download a PDF of it and then read it. If you can get a hold of a physical copy of this book, go to Amazon. There might be some on Amazon. Well worth the $8 or the $15 that you'll pay for it, because you'll underline and circle and notes all through the whole book. So you're going to read it through all the way once. And then you're going to read or listen to chapters 4, 7, 11, and 14 every day for the next 60 days. That's 60 days. So for the next 2 months, you're going to be listening to or reading those chapters 4, 7, 11, and 14 every day. Now, the reason why I'm having you read those specific chapters or listen to those specific chapters is that we need to change thought patterns. And I want this to be so ingrained in you. I mean, like, you're going to read things and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like Allison. Oh, no, Allison sounds like Wallace, because that's where Allison learned it. And this was the book that my family and I read, that in 3 days, my husband got a $20,000 raise because of this book, because of how it changed his thinking. So it can change things really, really quickly. All right. It finally gave him permission to actually want wealth instead of feel ashamed that he wanted wealth. All right. So we're going to do this, and I'm actually going to gift you. And I'm going to put this in the Facebook group. I actually recorded this book and made it an audio book. So I'm going to gift that to you so that you can just download it on your phone and then listen to those chapters every day, 4, 7, 11, and 14. It'll take about 20 minutes to listen to it. And so that will make it easier for you to do it. And this is something that I still do virtually every day. So in fact, I listened to the entire book today because that was the nudge that I got, and it was magnificent. I loved it. And so you're welcome. You're welcome. It's super cool. So what I did with this book is I actually infused energy work as I was reading it. And then I included affirmations at the end of every chapter. So just take some deep breaths, because that will actually, that'll actually integrate that frequency into your body as you're listening to it and as you're reading it. So it's super cool. So I'll give you the link to it. It's password protected, and I'll put the password and everything on there. But this is something that I want you to do this weekend, if at all possible. I know it's possible because you don't have to wait for the book. You can just download the PDF right now and you can start reading it. And it is a magnificent read. It's going to change your life. All right. So this is the next big thing. Now, this is not instead of, this is in addition to. All right, so we've still got our meditations. We're still looking at our goal cards every day. We're still listening to our affirmations in the morning and at night. And we're doing our NEDs 3 times a day. All right, and now we're going to add the science of getting rich to it. If you feel like, whoa, that's too much, then just change your attitude around that, because it's not. And this is stuff that you can do. Again, you can do all of this in the shower. You can do this as you're driving. This is meant to weave throughout your day. That's why I'm telling you to listen to so many things, but I do want you to read it first. And it's gonna change everything. It's gonna help you change everything as well, because we've got to get new habits of thought patterns going on in you. And I want this so ingrained in your subconscious that it's really easy for you to believe that your dreams are just one frequency away. Even though you have no idea how they're going to come, you just know that they're going to come. So this book helps you to have certainty even in the midst of uncertainty. It helps you with the faith piece. It helps you with, it's very practical in its approach. Now, it is written in the early 19th century, so some of the things are a little bit antiquated, and but it's okay. Continue to read it. The principles are eternal principles, and they are timeless principles, and they'll change your life in 2018 just like it changed thousands of people's lives in 1908. So that is the next piece of what we are doing in our mastermind. Does anybody have any questions? We good? Oh, Jill. Jill had to change from meditating on the bed to the couch because she kept falling asleep. That's hysterical. I just saw that. Oh, did I say 2018? I mean 2019. Thanks, Jill. I guess I'm a little tired. All right, my friends, has this call been helpful? Has this given you some more direction? Oh, Syra, you're so welcome. All right, now remember, I still want everybody in the chat reporting daily. what they're doing, what they're kind of fallen down on just a little bit, like, oh, I haven't done my NEDs in a little while. Oh, I haven't. So let us support you in that. There's no room for shame and there's no room for guilt in this group. But definitely there's room for accountability. So when you know that your mentor is waiting to hear from you about how she can help you, then it'll inspire you hopefully to get on there and to be more active in the chat. And we have a remarkable group of women. Like, oh my word, this mastermind is unbelievable in the power of these women. And so if you're not active in the chat, I invite you to do that, because you're missing out on really the juice of this mastermind if you're not engaged in the chat. So anyway, oh, Marilee, you are so welcome. All right, ladies, we're gonna let you go. It's way past midnight for some of you and past 11 for others of us. So we'll see you next week. It's our 7 p.m. Mountain call, so 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific next Thursday. We will see you in the chat. If you've got any questions about the assignment or about anything that we're doing, box me in the group so we can make sure everybody's on the same page. And I'll get that link and everything up as soon as I can. It'll either be tonight or first thing tomorrow. So just know that that will be there for you in the morning. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. Mwah. Sending you tons of love, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.